I'm going to demonstrate for you how to trace a for loop and show you the final I value, and I will use one of the questions off of our iterations quiz. So first here I have a graphic of the structure of a for loop, and the way a for loop works is step number 1 is to initialize a value, and we're going to use an I value right here. Step number 1 is to test your Boolean condition. So in this graphic, it's I less than 6. As long as the Boolean condition is true, then we come down and we act on the body. So step number 3 is to act on the body. And then our fourth step is our increment. And in our graphic right here, it just says to increment I by 1. So now I'm going to demonstrate using one of the questions from our iterations quiz. And this one says to show a trace for the loop. Be sure to show the output. So we need output and we need the final I value. And we have 4. I is equal to 1, or it's been initialized to 1. Our condition is I less than 10, and then our increment is going to be I times 2. And our body of our loop will then be to print I. So let me draw my T-chart here for tracing. And for this loop, I'm going to be keeping track of the value of I and the value of my output, or what gets printed. Okay, so we start out in our initialization that I has a value of 1. So under I, I'll put 1. I will test my condition. I less than 10. Well, I is 1, and 1 is less than 10, so that is true. So I will come down into my body. And for my body, it says to output I. Well, I has a value of 1 right now. And then I come back up to my step, or my increment, and I take I and I multiply it by 2. Well, the current value of I is 1. I multiply 1 by 2, and I update I to 2. I come back to test my condition to see if it's still true. The value of I is 2. Is 2 less than 10? That is true, so I will output I. I is currently 2. And then I will come up to my increment, and I will take I, and I will multiply it by 2. I has a value of 2, and I multiply it by 2, so I becomes 4. Come back up, test my condition. Is I less than 10? Well, I has a value of 4. 4 is less than 10, so I will come down to my body, and I will print I. I is 4, and then I will increment I. I will take the value of I, which is 4, multiply it by 2, and that is 8. I then test my condition. Is 8 less than 10? That is true. So I will output I. I is 8, and then I will multiply I by 2. So I was 8, I is now 16. Now I test my condition. Is I less than 10? Well, I is 16, and that is false. So now I'm out of my loop, and my final value of I is 16.